doing, guys? How are you doing? This is Julian Gavilanis, and I am the Precipice of Delusion. I am Julian Gavilanis, and this is the Precipice of Delusion. I'm feeling a little bit delusional right now, if I'm being totally candid with you. It's pretty late while I'm recording this, but you know, what's the term? No one sleeps in Brooklyn. Nobody sleeps till Brooklyn. What the fuck is that? The Beastie Boys song. Man, my memory is whacked out right now. I am struggling to even put this together, but it don't matter because we're doing it. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for continuously tuning in to this podcast. The love that I am receiving is so wonderful. I feel so much gratitude for each and every single one of you guys who are sending me messages, who are liking the content that I'm putting out, who are subscribing or sharing or following along. It is wonderful to get to know some of you. I've been sharing messages with a lot of you as well, and this is fun. I am having a wonderful time making this podcast, even when I'm doing it late like this. It doesn't matter. It's such a thrill. It's like, it just feels right. I feel very connected to this experience right now, and I'm very grateful that you're here to join in on the fun with me, because ultimately I'm just sitting in my studio talking to myself, but I'm imagining talking to you. So thank you, and I love you. You. I'm talking to you. Yeah, you. Uh-huh. That's who I'm talking to. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Guys, we have a really, really cool show for you today. Why do I say we? As if like I have a team of people that are doing this podcast with me. I don't. I have a really cool podcast for you today. A really cool show. I guess when I say we, it's like me and the guest, right? That's fair. We have a really cool show for you today. My guest and I have a wonderful show for you, and I can't wait for you to listen to it. My guest today is an incredibly talented singer, dancer, actor, entertainer extraordinaire. Her name is Daisha Graf. If you don't know Daisha, you're stupid. You're not stupid. But she is an unbelievable talent. She has been a dancer for the likes of Beyonce, Rihanna, Santigold, Pitbull, Janelle Monae. The list goes on and on and on. Ariana Grande, whoever you think she has danced for. She is a pretty prolific dancer in that world. But when I met her, I met her as a singer. And so I knew her, as like a singer, dancer, performer. And I met her. She was one of my first friends in New York. She was buddies with the people that I first moved out here and lived with. And so I was seeing quite a bit of her when I first moved out here. And I was just like blown away by, I was like introduced to New York, and then Daisha was there, and she's just like this beautiful like woman who just like made me feel like, holy shit, man, I got to step my game up. She just had like so much charisma, and she was so like just like wonderfully spirited, and she was so beautiful, and it was just like, days, man, like I don't know if I'm going to be able to like hold my own in this world. But luckily I wasn't a singer or a dancer, so I was not too intimidated outside of all the other things she did. And then she became an actor as well and started like killing it in the acting game. She's just exceptionally talented, and I was so excited to get a chance to talk to her again. She is so humble, and like you honestly won't even know listening to this episode that she's done all the things that she's done, because she's so honest and raw and transparent, kind of about like everything that she's got going on. And so it's really cool to be able to kind of just pick her brain and see where she's at in the world. She lives in LA now, but she still tours with a bunch of different artists. She still is making movies, TV shows. She's breaking through in every marketplace known to man. She is a triple threat if I have ever heard of one myself. And I am so pleased to introduce all of you who don't already know my good pal, Daisha Graf. Look at me. Look at you. Look at me looking at you.
Right.
Wow. I haven't seen you in 10 years.
No, like for real.
That's wild. Wow.
Been a while.
You good? We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
You feeling
Loaded question. Are you good?
you feeling nice? Well, we can dive right in since you got limited time. Wow, it's so great to see you. I'm so honored that you were willing to take the time to sit down and chat with me. This is so great.
Of course.
I was like going through my Rolodex of people that I wanted to have, and I was like, I don't have any fucking girls on, man. I gotta like get more girl. I know. I just like my first thought is just like I don't even know why. It's like honestly, I had another girl on. And these are like my favorite conversations. I definitely resonate more and like connect deeper with women than I do with men. I feel like when I'm talking to guys, I'm trying to like fucking one up them and like be cool and stuff because I'm like comparing myself to them.
More vulnerable.
I'm trying to get more vulnerable. That's where the whole theme of this podcast is coming from.
Okay.
The Precipice of Delusion, which as I kind of explained to you a little bit, is essentially kind of a conversation between artists as how we navigate through like the highs and the lows of just being an artist and everything that's in between, because like you have these incredible highs and then they eventually end and you're left, whether that's unemployed or like just not on stage or on camera or wherever that might be.
Yeah.
You're not like feeling that same stimulation anymore and you're kind of back to life. And it's kind of just like, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
And I thought of you because when I think about artists, like I think about like artists in their like individual lane, but you kind of are like the epitome of a triple threat, if I may, because like you and not only are you like a triple threat, but you are like you have had a career in acting, dancing, and singing, like as isolated things. And I'm really fascinated by that because you've done them at the highest levels, and it's super, super impressive. And you have kind of been like pretty outspoken about yourself as well throughout the time in moving through it. And like how it's not all just as wonderful as it may seem on the outset. And I'm fascinated by that. And so, I'm curious, like how have you been kind of navigating currently, like where you're at lately? Because you're in LA now, and when I first became aware of you and met you and became friends, you were out here in New York.
Yeah.
But you've been out in LA for like 10 years now, yeah? Maybe less, maybe 8 years. Cool. And so how's it going? Like, what are you working on right now, and how are you managing to like keep yourself in a space of like mental
saneness?
Yeah, how are you staying sane? How are you doing it? Like post pandemic, post strike, post all of these things. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's interesting. You caught me right now, just because the state of the industry is in a what is happening.
Yeah,
it's really
insane.
like what is happening, like slow.
Yeah.
And it's caused me to really like have to take a step back and like review and assess everything in my life, because I'm like, okay, well, I moved here for this specific thing, and this specific thing hasn't been moving the way that I would like the past
Mm.
4 years, out of my control.
Yeah.
But like, what am I doing to
Mm.
further myself if I can't do the thing that I moved here for? Um, in a specific way, I'm still doing the thing, but industry wise,
Right.
how do I keep myself evolving and you know, um, and so
Do
it's
you
been
think
really interesting.
do you think that because you have had the experiences that you've had, I mean, like, just to name a few, like you've been like you've danced on stage with like everybody from like correct me if I'm wrong, like Rihanna, Beyonce, Santigold, Jill Scott, like the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Uh, and and then you've acted in gigantic films. You've had a career as a singer, and you've played humongous arenas, spaces all over the globe. Do you think that in having those experiences, it's like set your bar really high so that when like these things aren't happening, you're kind of like it almost feels worse? Like you're
Hmm.
just like, oh my God, like I should be doing more right now because I have done more before, or like what?
Well, first of all, thank you for like saying all that. Sometimes I have to pull back. Like
Yeah, I
sometimes
bet.
you're so like in it that you don't even remember or think about all the things you have accomplished, which is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just helps even if someone like like you just listed all those things. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Oh shit,
wow,
I did
I did
that.
that. I did,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
'cause,
yeah.
sometimes like you just forget. You just forget. Like I've done things and like I
Mm.
made it through that period. Or
Mhm.
so it's a good reminder to be like, no, I've pivoted several times, and
Yeah, well, when you're in it,
when
you
you're in
know,
it,
like
you're in it, and it's really hard to see outside of that.
for sure.
I do hold myself to a high standard. I think it's just my family. My whole family is like a family of achievers, and I think I have a little bit of that bone in me. I like to do the things I do well. Like, of course, like whenever you start something new, we won't be like perfect at it, but I like to train in whatever I decide to do. And I've realized that I've had to come to terms with the fact that I have several interests. Like I used to get down on myself that I didn't just have one single focus and just one drive to
Mm.
like the one thing that
Mm.
I've wanted to do since I was 2, and like my
Mhm.
whole life went towards this one goal and whatever,
Mhm.
I know people like that and it's really amazing. And I was like, God, I'm always like
Hmm.
here, and then I go over here, and then I'm over here,
Yeah.
and then I go here. And I used to
Yeah.
get annoyed at that. And then I was like, you know what? This is silly
Mm.
because I enjoy doing several things and it's my life and I should be able to explore the things I want to explore. So I have been able to dibble and dabble in different arenas, and I feel like they all kind of make sense in the arts. Um, but yeah, in situations like right now where it's dead industry wise, I was talking to my friend today. It really helps that I have other interests, because
Yeah.
when one thing is not going on, I kind of just go, okay, well maybe right now I could focus on something else until the
Mhm.
other thing comes back around. And I'm always training. Like I tell everybody, stay in class, stay
Yeah,
training,
totally.
keep making stuff, even if it doesn't go anywhere, or it's just
Mm.
the muscle of like you're doing the thing you love to do,
For
and you're
sure.
still creating, and you're still like using what you have is really important. I'm always in acting class. I'm always helping a friend with their short, or I've done 2 feature films, not through agency, not through anything.
Oh, cool.
2 friends that created a film and sold it to X, Y, and Z and asked me to be a
That's
part of
great.
it in a
And
time
that's the
where
most
everything is
rewarding thing.
dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the most rewarding because I'm like, I just want to make dope shit with my friends. Like
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
goal.
Right.
So yeah, I think like you just have to keep creating and keep I always have like a small mustard seed of faith that I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be. But it is
Yeah.
not easy. Like even these past few months I've been going through it. I'm going
Yeah.
through it.
I mean, yeah, same. I mean, it's the impetus for creating this, to talk to friends and peers who are like how do you do it? Because like I'm genuinely asking, you know,
Yeah,
like how are you navigating this? And I think, you know, I think especially in the creative lane, we put so much pressure on ourselves because there's no real metric to like there's no meritocracy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like just because you're good, it doesn't mean you're gonna be successful. Like again, you mentioned acting class, and that's one of the most rewarding places to ever be. I do an ongoing like scene study class myself,
yeah,
and I swear by like the sacred experience that happens in that room, because it is like something that nobody will ever be aware of, but I wish everybody could be, because it's like transcendent. It's so cool, and it like it's so powerful, and it reminds me that like, oh, I don't need to sit around and wait for agents to call me to tell me that I have an audition or that I have a callback or that like I booked something, because if I spend too much time waiting for that, then eventually my self-worth is wrapped up in like the notion that it will happen or it won't happen, and
exactly.
my identity is based on like how what have I done, what am I doing, and all of a sudden I'm like, if I don't have anything going on, am I a fucking loser? Like I start to feel that way, and
Yeah,
it's like not it's
totally get it.
totally on me,
Yeah.
and it's just like, whoa dude, how did this happen? How did this happen? Like, and why did I get here? Like, and I feel like, and I'm finding through having conversations with people that almost like the farther along you get in this, the harder it gets. It doesn't get easier, I don't think, unless I think it comes from within. Like, really, you have to figure out how to be good with yourself.
Well, that's
And
the thing. I think these periods are really, I mean, they're hard, but they're good for you to have to like do that self assessment and be like, oh my God, like if I'm not
mm,
working, all of a sudden my whole like existence feels nuts, you know, or
yeah,
like it's actually really important for self improvement. I feel like,
yeah,
because I do agree with you. Like there's just levels. There's just levels,
yeah,
you know. So yeah,
totally.
you get to a different level, different issues or same issues, different level, you know. So
Totally, for sure.
I completely agree with that.
It's like a checkpoint in a video game, like the levels that you get to. You kind of get there, and then, you know, if you you like don't expect to have to start the game over again. If you have to like fall behind it, you're just like, okay, I'll pick right back up at this checkpoint. I have to go move farther. But sometimes, like in life, you don't get to start back up at the same checkpoint.
You
Like
know,
you fall back below it, and you're just like, what do I do with this space? Where am I at? Like how do I navigate this time? And
yeah,
it's so it's so it's so unfortunate that so many of us like put ourselves in that place of pressure, because it's like I don't talk to friends in a way that I talk to myself sometimes about this kind of stuff,
I
or I'll
know. I
just be
always
getting
like,
down on myself. Yeah.
yeah, if I am talking to a friend who's like an artist or who, it doesn't even matter if they're an artist, but
Yeah.
a friend and they're talking like about themselves, I'm like, don't talk about my friend like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
why
And
would
then you go home and you're just fucking like, I'm a fucking piece of shit. I can't believe I fucking did like
like
this.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's crazy. Have you ever I mean, you have so many like varieties of your like creative outlet that you've been able to tap into, which is so cool and admirable and enviable, honestly. But have you ever like thought about quitting any of like all of it and just like doing something completely different?
You know what is really funny? Like, yeah, yesterday was
Mm.
my first day of psychology class
Oh,
at UCLA.
wow.
For the
Wow.
first
What
time.
look at like hold on, let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there, because you're speaking about it with like like a face of shame while you're saying it. And that is like I had to stop you to like acknowledge that.
Thank you.
So continue.
It's not shame. It's just I have like, I was talking to another woman who's in this class who actually went to UCLA prior to, in the theater department, I guess her undergrad, and now she's back, like expanding her education. And we were having this conversation. It was like, there's just so many identity, I don't want to say crises, but like go through all of these like identity checkpoints where you're just like,
Mhm.
who am
Yeah.
I? What is
Yeah.
happening? And so I definitely was like walking on campus and I'm like, what am I doing here?
Mm.
Like,
Mhm.
what, you know,
Mhm.
there was just so much chatter yesterday which
Yeah.
I'm just being completely honest. You know, I'm
Yeah, no, I
happy to be
appreciate it.
there. I'm happy to be learning. I'm always interested in learning new things outside of the arts. I just love people. And I thought, you know, I would be a good community leader or therapist or social worker or something in that kind of world. So since things are slow, I decided, you know, maybe I should just no pressure go take a like extension course and see if I'm even
Yeah.
interested in anything in this
Ah,
in this
I'm
world.
so I'm so proud of you. That's so cool. I'm like, I didn't mean to like call out like the shame. That was maybe the wrong thing to say, but like it looked like you were kind of just like, I
Well, it
don't
was
know what I'm
very, what
doing.
am I like?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that and
that's
that's real. And I think like, man, I applaud people who kind of like redirect and figure out what they can be doing. And also I guarantee that your wealth of experiences will translate to so many people to be helpful from like what you have done in your life to actually be able to kind of like give that insight to potential clients or whoever you might be like talking with or trying to help. It's huge. And so it's not like, I don't know, my question was like, have you ever thought about quitting? And this isn't like a this isn't like you're quitting to do, I mean, unless it is, which I don't
no,
can't imagine it is the
no.
case.
I have this conversation all the time with my parents because, you know, love my family. They're just worried, you know, that they want me to,
Mm, sure.
you know, be doing the thing I want. I want to be doing the thing I love,
Right.
and you know, is there like a plan B? Like, what, you know, all the things that families ask, and
Yeah,
I
totally.
appreciate it.
I get it.
But we have all come to the conclusion that I'm not gonna quit. Like, I've come too far at this
Yeah.
point. It's the thing I love to do. The arts, you know, arts life is my whole being. But right now, I am in a phase where I'm trying to find something stable that can support my arts life. I haven't really had to have like a job. Like I've been freelance
Mhm.
my whole experience
Yeah.
with dance or whatever that comes along. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I really am craving a bit more stability. And
Mhm.
so I've been like trying to fish around like what else I could do to still support my career, like my
Yeah.
career. It's not a quitting, it's just like adding
Mhm.
to. And it's been really fascinating because, you know, like we have so many skills. I have so many skills like in the arts, and it's almost like sometimes it doesn't translate to anything else, which is like fascinating. So it's
Yeah.
just weird, like you've done so many things over here, and then you go over here, and it's like, how do I, you know?
Yeah. How do
So I've
yeah.
been in this like this this world right now, just being like,
That's it's amazing. It's really really cool, and I applaud you, forever for having made that decision. And ironically, I guarantee you stuff starts coming your way artistically
oh, that's
now that you have made this transition.
exactly
And you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Like as
always,
right when it becomes an inconvenience, it's gonna start happening for
yeah.
like that's just the nature of how this stuff
That's
works,
what they
right?
say. They like book a flight, and then you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how it happens that way. But it's like, I don't know, it's real and it's you know, I have I feel like I have kind of toyed around with the idea of doing something different, kind of not necessarily to edge out of acting per se, but to kind of supplement my life to make myself feel more whole
Yeah,
because I have put so much energy and effort and self value into this thing that it has become so much a part of my identity
yeah,
that that it is unhealthy and I'm not um whole without it.
yeah.
And to the point where like I've been in New York now for 12 years and I don't even necessarily know if I need to be here anymore. I'm just here because I'm here because I'm here.
I
And
think
it's like
that's here too. I mean, people are going through that as well, like self tapes. Like you don't really have to be anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can kind of be anywhere you want and I don't know. It's just like, what do I really want my values to look like? And I look at, you, and I hear you talking about this, and it's like, man, that's like really inspiring, because again, like, people dream of having the creative life that you have already had at this like early point in your life. Dream, like, or couldn't even dream
Mm.
about it. You've done so many things already as it is. And so I guess like, because we're like in a similar age category, and I think like at this age there's this kind of like weird notion that we are supposed to like have some level of stability,
Yeah,
something like going on, that because like your friends are married, have
yeah,
kids.
yeah.
Some of my friends are now like on their first divorces already. It's like, this is real. And like, I haven't done any of that stuff, like I'm just out here trying to like build an acting career,
Right.
and it feels selfish, and it feels kind of like self-absorbed, and also on the other hand, it feels very like altruistic of me at the same time, in a weird way, because I'm really trying to like connect to community and connect to people and like make something beautiful, put beautiful art into the world. So there's like these double-sided feelings of it all.
Yeah.
And I just feel so inspired by the fact that you like have been able to make that decision for yourself. I can't imagine it was easy. How long have you been thinking about it, and like when did you actually decide to make it?
Yeah, and again, like I don't even think it's a super clear decision of anything. Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
really exploring. I
Hmm.
haven't like decided anything
Yeah.
particular. I'm just trying to see if I have interest in things. Yeah, I mean, this class is I think like 3 months or 2.5 months, and then that's it. Like
Yeah.
if I
Okay,
want to
cool. So
later,
it's like a course
yeah,
then.
it's
It's
just
not like you're not going to like get
no,
your
I haven't like,
doctorate.
applied to get my master's, like, and do that whole route, which I have
Yeah.
friends who are artists who have done that. Like, they went and they've gotten to, grad school, and they've done it all online while they're still acting, and they just take it bit by bit, and
Yeah.
I've had to really, like, sit back and be like, because you're doing one thing doesn't take away from something else, or you can be more than one thing. And this is
Mhm.
it's a constant talk to myself, and it's like,
Yeah.
because you dance doesn't mean, or because I'm acting doesn't mean I don't dance anymore, or
Mhm.
like you don't have to just be so rigid with things,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like we're in this world to explore and try stuff, and maybe not like
Yeah.
stuff. Like I might hate this. Like,
Me too. I feel
you know
so
what I mean?
too.
Like,
I do think it's interesting that you leaned into psychology, because eh, for me, I feel like if I were to do a similar thing, I'd probably do the same. I'd probably align with that area of study. And I think it's because so much of being an artist relies on the psychology of like oneself.
yeah.
And so like you've probably spent a lot of time just like looking inward and dealing with like these highs and lows of your own experience, and wondering like, why am I who I am? Why, like when you're on stage and you're feeling all of this praise, and you're like, stimuli, 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 people are shouting your name, going fucking crazy, crowd surfing, fucking throwing their bras at you, all this fucking nonsense. And then you like are back in a hotel room like at the end of the night, kind of by yourself, with yourself, just kind of like,
Mm,
whoa, like this is this is bizarre. This is a really like uh this is a very contradictory feeling to like what was just happening
yeah.
45 minutes ago. And you have nothing to do but kind of like be introspective about like, well, who am I? Like, what am I doing here? Why do I deserve this? Like, yes, I'm talented. Yes, I've worked really hard. Yes, this, that, and the other XYZ has like got me to this place, but like, who am I?
Mhm.
And like, why? And when you really spend enough time thinking about that stuff, like it can be enlightening, but it can also be kind of scary and put you in a really like interesting space. And I wonder like if that experience like resonates, if that has been kind of the case for you and yours, and how you've kind of worked through that and navigated that.
Yeah, obviously performance has been my outlet since I was little. So yes, I totally, it's a lot of introspection, of course, and the highs of it's kind of like you're a magician, kind of like you do this thing and you get a reaction by the thing you do, and it's like, whoa,
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
but for me, like through this time as well, I've been trying to think more about like my purpose, and like I really enjoy affecting people positively, or just like holding space for people. Like I've always been a person that strangers come and talk to me, and
Mm.
something about me, I guess people feel safe, and I love that. Like I teach a lot. I teach cycling, I
Yeah.
teach dance. I'm like, if I'm in school, like, my acting class, they're like, will you be like the class manager? Like, I don't know. I
Oh,
have
cool.
something
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is
You're
like,
very
be
approachable.
like a leadership quality.
Yeah.
And, like my dad, he's retired, but he's a community organizer. So he was like a man of the people. And so maybe I, picked up some of that, but,
Yeah.
um, along with acting, which I feel like is holding space in a different kind of way. And all those skills, like full body listening and like all these things, translate outside of like just the screen, I feel like. But yeah, I've just been trying to figure out what I can do that feels more purposeful. Like I don't want to just think about myself. Like I want to put my
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
attention on other people. Like I'd rather, I don't want to be in my head all the time. I love when I get to go teach and I just can focus on other people for
Yeah.
an hour.
Yeah. I mean,
You know?
I think the totally. And I
Yeah.
think, but that's being a performer is like on the outside thought of as a very like self-fulfilling experience, but it's like it's not always,
Yeah,
being a
yeah.
performer is like very much for like everybody else. Like you're
Yes.
giving your energy to other people, you're
That's what I
creating
love.
something.
That's like the part that I love, like these films that I did with my friends. Like I love to create. I've really realized also that I am such a team person. Like I love to create in a group. Like I'm not very good at like sit in a room by myself and like
Mm,
do things by myself.
yeah, yeah,
Like I
me
really
neither.
love the community aspect. I love like deadlines with people, and we have to figure out how to do the thing
Yeah,
together, and we create the thing together, and like I
yeah,
love that. I think that's when you do a play, like there's so many people involved in all these things.
yeah.
And I love that about it.
It is so cool, but but again, it ultimately ends
Yeah,
and you're stuck with yourself.
that's true.
And if you don't have a strong foundation for you, and I'm speaking of you like as just as universally, um, and you're trying to like work through, this like isolated time where you're maybe an extrovert and you don't do well being an introvert, and you honestly don't spend enough time with yourself to know better because you've spent the majority of your adult life just being on stage or with other people or like in this arena.
Yeah,
And so like you haven't really had like a chance to really get to know just you. And so it can be scary and it can be taxing to just like sit alone and be like, what the hell? Like I got to go give back to other people, give back to other people.
yeah,
And I guess for me, like I've had a hard time really kind of like trying to generate self-love in a certain way because I've never had to. It's always just kind of like been received through the things that I have done.
yeah,
And so that's filled up my cup. But then you get into these like these slow periods, these things that inevitably happen. And it's like, dude, like life moves on. Like life continues and like that stage is no longer there, or that like, camera is no longer in your face, and you're just sitting with yourself. And the real skill set is learning how to exist inside that discomfort of just like being with you, and like not hating that. And again, like I'm not trying to project onto
I
you, but
know.
I'm just
I
speaking for
completely
myself.
understand, and I've been through that. It's a process. I mean, definitely.
And it is now more than ever. Like the pandemic happened and it like shook everything. It changed everything. Like being an actor, I can't speak to dancing or singing, but like I mean I can because I'm very close with a lot of singers as well, and like everybody's life was uprooted, during this period. And it just doesn't seem like it's really come back since. Like
Yeah.
everything has changed since.
Yeah.
And we are all still trying to navigate our professional lives through this,
Yeah.
to the extent of being like, like some of us have like kind of fast tracked into like and rerouted our course into like, doing like, I'm getting into like filmmaking now, which is wonderful. And, people are kind of like starting podcasts and doing whatever they want, whatever, like
Yeah.
all these new things, these new creative paths have opened up for people because of time and space.
Right.
But ultimately, like the thing that we relied on imploded and is continuing to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're continuously being stuck with ourselves, being like, what am I gonna do then?
What
Like,
am I gonna-
because as you manage your expectations around, like, okay, what's the next thing? What do you do? Like, where do you go? Because, like, okay, cool. Like, an acting, I can't sit around and rely on my agents to hit me up anymore. So, like, what do I need to do to scratch this creative itch that I have going on?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like, dude, you just need to chill and like actually rest and just
What's
relax.
that?
Do you have that hard time with that
Oh
too?
my God, I have a terrible time resting.
Why? Why is it?
Just because I have a very busy brain,
Yeah.
and I have that thing where I feel like I have to be doing something at all times. But it is a constant chatter of like, no, you could just take a nap. That's okay.
Hmm.
Like you actually need to.
Do you get down on yourself if you do?
Not anymore. Not
Oh,
really.
that's nice.
Um, but yeah, during this like slow period, I've had several moments where I'm like, you should be doing more. Like you need to be doing more. It's like, and then like I'm in therapy and I'll like list things I'm
Same.
doing. And she's like, it's a lot. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And like, you said like not anymore when I asked if you take naps, and it's just like, well, how have you gotten to a space where you don't like get down on yourself? How do you not like judge what you're doing when you're not doing like the thing aligned with what's going to get you the next thing?
I mean, just like functionally, like I'm not functional if I'm
Mm.
tired. like,
Right. Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
I with dance, like I have several herniated discs in my back. So like
Mm.
that was kind of what pushed me out of dance at the
Hmm.
level that I was.
Yeah.
And so it forced me to have to listen to my body because when you're at a specific level and you just push and you ignore stuff because that's what performers do and the show must go on and like who cares if your leg is broken like whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
like you just go and then your body breaks down and then it forces you to be like, oh, like I have not been listening to myself at all
Hmm.
for years. So
Hmm.
yeah, like I'm still in process of listening to my body, and my body is telling me you need to lay down. You're like irritable and like you're acting like a toddler. You need to go take a nap.
Yeah.
Like, and then
I
I
haven't
wake up
figured
and
that
I'm like,
out.
wow, it's been an hour. Like the world didn't
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, right. That's always the thing. You do something and you're like, "Oh, like I missed a day or something. I took a rest day." Like I'll literally like what's so crazy and cringy to me is that I'll like get actually sick. Like I'll have like a big
The
cold and I'll be
force.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
but no, but I'll be like
Oh,
I'll like be like excited because it like affords me to like actually take a rest. But like otherwise, I don't have justification to do it. Because
how
like, oh, I'm sick. I'm like, yes,
yeah. I
so
feel like New
awesome.
York too, like has this
Ah,
energy of like I mean, I still have it here where I feel like I need to be doing something at all times, but just the pulse of the city, like I feel like I would be like home and still like feeling like New York, like we gotta put like
mm,
hustle, you know. So
yeah.
that city vibe of just like can also
How has that changed for you since moving to LA?
it's definitely helped. Like when I
Yeah.
left New York, I needed to
Mm.
breathe. I needed more space. I was like feeling really claustrophobic. I love New York. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah,
never
you were
thought
here
I would
for a
leave.
minute too, huh?
Yeah, like, and whenever I get to go back, I'm hyped.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
at that time, like, I was getting really anxious. Like, I was getting anxious to get on the train. I was feeling overstimulated, like noises, like just my fingers were tingly. Like,
Mm.
I was just getting really overwhelmed by the environment. So I had to remove myself. And out here, like, it's just a bit, I mean, it's still a city, but it's a bit more calm. You get more space. You don't have people,
Yeah, just like pooping
24/7.
on you on the subway.
Like, exactly. You're not like walking around worried if someone's going to punch you in the face. I've heard that's
Yeah.
going on. Like,
That's a thing right now,
it's
by
a
the way.
thing. I know. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm curious just if like the environment too is just creating more like,
I think so, but I wouldn't know any better because I've only been here for this long. I've spent my adult life here, and
yeah.
yeah, but I've definitely adopted, a lot of that anxiety from just like being in this. Like I think of it as a tsunami. Whenever I tell people who are moving here, like I'm just like it's like you kind of like are outside this giant tsunami every day that you get up, and you have to like figure out how you're going to drop in and like get going on it.
Yeah.
And for the first several years you don't know how to surf, and so you're just like jumping in and getting pummeled and going undertowed and
Yeah.
just like smacking rocks and breaking bones and hurting yourself. And like eventually you learn how to ride, but you're just like shaking and you're like riding and you're just scared that like if you fall like you're
Yeah.
gonna get
That's it.
pummeled again. And like I don't know, it's just like I don't know why I say that with like and think like, oh, I should have pride in being able to ride that. It's just like, what am I doing?
Well,
Why do I need that?
you don't, but I mean, also like New York is awesome. So like if you love New York, you love New York.
Yeah, I know, but I also like have spoken to a few people just like about LA and other spots, and it does feel like some of my friends who have moved from here to there have been able to kind of like settle in a little bit better and been like, and I never knew that because I lived there for a little while, but it was very much just like, oh, this isn't my community. These people just are all like wannabes, and out in New York they're doers, and I was
Well,
just like,
it's funny because this was the conversation that several people had with me before I moved out here. LA is fake. Everybody's fake.
yeah,
Everybody's blah, 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 blah. And I moved out here and it was like, I've met like the most genuine people. Like I've met my
hmm,
people out here, like my actual, like my best
yeah,
friends, like my
oh,
community is like
cool,
so strong and good people. And it was funny because if I would have listened, I would have
yeah.
missed out on like some amazing people out here. But
Yeah.
that is
Yeah, it's
that is what
true.
I heard when I moved out here. Be careful. I was
Yeah.
like,
So you said it's 8 years you've been there. Wow.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm
that's
glad
cool.
you're having that experience. I mean, it's all relative, right? Like the experience
Yeah,
doesn't come without its shadows that are being cast from it as well. Um, but it's cool, and it's up in the air for me at this point to what might happen in the future. Who
who
knows?
knows?
But
I mean, what I did was I came out here for like a friend was like going on tour, and she was like, "Why don't you come out here? You can stay in my room for 2 or 3 months and just like feel it out." So that's what I did. I came out
yeah,
here for just like a bit, and then I went back to New York, and I was like, yeah.
yeah,
And then I
yeah,
decided to just move. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's been a journey. I mean, all of it has been a journey, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is my forever place. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you don't seem like the type that's what's so crazy because I was back home for the holidays, and I was talking to a handful of my friends are just people that have jobs that, and
Yeah.
homes, like, mortgages and families, and that they're just living that life, and that's great. I'm very happy for them. And my friend, I was like walking through, I was seeing his house for the first time, and it's like massive. And I was just like, wow, this is insane. I was just like, don't you ever just get like freaked out that you have this like giant massive house but you only have like a wife and like a child, and like what do you like, does it like like do you like ever like look at yourself and just say like, holy shit, like what am I doing, like is this like am I doing this because I'm trying to like prove something? He's just like, no, no, man, like not really. I know myself pretty well. And in that moment he said, I know myself pretty well. I was just like,
Mhm.
what? Like what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like and I don't think he's lying, but I just like as an artist we are always evolving, always changing, always like growing and like trying to, not because we like just are like we're like actively wanting to like change. So it's like to be like, oh yeah, I know myself so well, like maybe you do, but that's probably going to change, and it has been for me this whole time. And I just like am so kind of like baffled by people that are just like living this life that
Mm.
like they've figured it out. They're doing it and they're settled in. And it's like, that sounds so nice, but I don't even know that I could if I tried.
Yeah, first of all, I don't know if anyone's ever figured it out.
I don't think so
I'm sure
either.
he's at a certain spot where things are going okay right now, you know?
Yeah, you're probably
Like,
right.
what if, like, we never know what's happening, but what, like, let's say tomorrow you book your dream job and now all of a sudden you got money
Yeah.
and you're able to
Yeah.
buy a house and da 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 da. Like, do you think you're
Mhm.
worth it? Like, would you be in this house and be like, I mean, you've put all these hours in,
Yeah.
you've dedicated your life, and you deserve to have nice things. You work hard,
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, money changes a lot of things once you start
It
getting
does,
some.
but yeah, there's a lot of chatter as well around money and worth and
Yeah.
like I don't know. Yeah, do you think you're
Yeah.
worth the big house? Like I would hope you think you are. You know,
Yeah. I mean, I for sure. I definitely like I have to be delusional enough to believe that I am
and
gonna
is that
be
like
the
what you
best.
want? Is that the thing you want? You know, people want different
Right.
things. Like,
Sure. Sure.
yeah.
I want fucking yacht. I want to be a yacht daddy.
Right.
I'm trying to get that fucking yacht money,
Yeah,
girl.
exactly. Okay. You know what I mean?
um yeah, it's hard. It's hard to try to navigate all this stuff. I'm curious uh if there has been if there has been one of the like creative pursuits of yours that has been like easier or harder to navigate, like the rejection within, like, because as dance, I mean, and speak to like outside of dancing, acting and singing as well, if those ones um make sense. But like, do they all feel the same, or like if you're better at one, does it like hurt more? Like, how do you like, what's that been like for you?
I mean, rejection is rejection. I think it's hard
Mm-hmm.
through and through, honestly. Um, with dance, like because I had done it for so long since I was like 5, I feel
Mm.
like I kind of found, you know, 5, and then like I went to college for it, and then like it was just something that was so seeped in my bones. Like I didn't think I worked so hard, but I didn't like it was so
Mm-hmm.
ingrained that you know when you get to a certain level with something, like you just do the thing and you kind of reached a you dance and I can find a level of artistry. I don't have to think so hard about it. I know I'm good. I've reached this thing. Like I know what I know my craft. Then it was like singing, and then with acting, it was new, like completely new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do
Yeah.
like I do really believe my dance informed a lot of things because it is a storytelling, but
Mm-hmm.
it was completely new. Like I had like 2 or 3 years of going out for auditions, no idea what I'm doing. Like I just like
Mm-hmm.
I memorized the lines. Is that it? Is that it? Like I don't know. You know.
Were you getting work though because you didn't know what you were doing?
You know what's funny? Like the first year and a half, no, you know, absolutely not. But I would get feedback that was like, she's just there's something so natural about her.
Yeah.
She's so raw. Like yeah,
Yeah.
and I was just like, I, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I
because
don't know
I
what that is.
genuinely don't know. Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
um, yeah, but then you know, it's taken years, but I've been training and training and training, and no, it doesn't get easier. I think you get. I definitely am like I can handle things better than those,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I don't think it ever really like gets easier. I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think so either. I think it gets harder,
Harder?
honestly. Like in different, I think it just gets different.
It's
Um
different. It's different.
Dude, you just need to chill and like actually rest and just
What's
relax.
that?
Do you have a hard time with that
Oh
too?
my god, I have a terrible time resting.
Why? Why is it?
I know, just because I have a very busy brain,
Yeah.
and I have that thing where I feel like I have to be doing something at all times. But it is a constant chatter of like, no, you could just take a nap. That's okay.
Mhm.
Like you actually need to.
Do you get down on yourself if you do?
Not anymore. Not
Oh,
really.
that's nice.
Um, But yeah, during this like slow period, I've had several moments where I'm like, you should be doing more. Like, you need to be doing more. It's like, and then like I'm in therapy and I'll like list things I'm
Same.
doing. And she's like, it's a lot. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, yeah. What it looks like at the top.
Mm,
And, you still want to stick with it, and you stick with it even through times when like none of that's happening at all. And you're, taking courses uh, to like better yourself as a scholar,
mm,
and that's huge. It's humongous to have that reflection of yourself to recognize and be aware that you are far from done, but you're looking to expand yourself in new ways that are going
yeah,
to probably help inform your art in a different way. Again,
absolutely.
like, acting is psychology. And so like if you have that, come on.
Absolutely. And just in life in general and in the craft, like you have to live your life. You can't I have a hard time with this. I'm working on it. I have to live a full life to have anything to pull from to
Yeah.
be an actor or an artist. Like I can't just be like, no, 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 and not living life because then it's just stale. You know, so it's this thing of like I'm always trying to like, how can I cultivate joy? What can I do? How can I love to travel. I love coffee. I love meeting with friends. I love,
Mm.
doing things. Let me go on that date. Let me, whatever it is, like
Mhm.
just because
Mhm.
I need to like live. I have to
Yeah.
live. And I feel like I went through a lot of years where I was like, no, I have to like I can't go because I'm studying or whatever.
So militant.
So militant about it, and I miss some things, which is at certain points is necessary as well. But at this point,
Yeah.
I'm just like I need to live bigger. I need to live fuller. I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to always be like acting. I'm no, no, no,
Yeah.
industry. Like to me, that
Yeah.
is not a full life. And so I've really been exploring like what else. What else?
I think that's really valuable for a lot of, anybody who listens to this,
Yeah.
in that like, they'll think like the big life is what you have seen already, but you're
Mm.
talking about the big life in terms of like you living your life
Yeah,
big and
because you'll
full
do the
for
movie or
you.
you'll do the TV show and the longest span was a few months or whatever. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
you're back
Yeah.
to your life. And so, all of those things, I'm like, those are just like cherries on top when you get to be on set and do it. Like, that's really special. And when I am in those spaces, I'm like, thank you, God. Like, I love this.
Yeah.
And then you go back to your life and it's that thing of working on not feeling like
Right.
I made it. I haven't made it. I made it. Like it's
Mm,
just too much. So
yeah.
just expanding my world to feel
Well,
full and whole all the
yeah.
time.
But it seems like you've learned that through uh recognizing like how ineffective the other way of thinking is, because you like actually thought that way for a long time and it wasn't serving you.
It is not. No, it is not serving me. It doesn't. I don't know how it.
But you did think that way for a long time, right? Like, oh, if this thing, then next thing, like if I get this, then that thing's gonna happen. If that's like I'm gonna be better off once this thing, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. Once this happens, then I'll be able to. And once I get
hmm,
here, then and then
yeah,
you're just not present, and
yeah,
that's tough. And I mean, it's still something I work on. But yeah,
yeah,
right now I'm just trying to cultivate more joy. I feel like that's my
yeah,
mission. Like I was just
yeah.
listening to Beyonce's new album and doing some weird like
So
river
good.
dance twerking over here just for fun because why not?
Yeah,
And then
just for you.
just for me, like
Yeah,
because why
yeah,
not?
that's awesome.
Um,
Hell yeah.
and just
Yeah,
just fucking around. Like sometimes you can't take everything so seriously all the time, 24/7.
yeah.
You know.
I feel it. I mean, and again, I'll say it every time I talk to anybody here. It's just like it's so helpful for me to talk to my friends and my peers and people who have this insight, because, some people are doing better than others. Some people are really struggling and like not really knowing how to do it. I had some guy cancel on me the other day because he was like, dude, I'm actually in a really bad place and I'm not ready to like talk about this stuff at all. And I was like, that's real, and
It's very real.
I, where I like kind of what I it would be perfect for you to come on and chat, but like,
Yeah.
you know,
No, but I think that's really important. Yeah, I think it's really important to have community talk, because I
yeah,
feel like out here, at least, and call me anytime, but like,
yeah,
I have people that I can be like, you know, yeah, today's a fucking hard day, and can I just
mm,
vent to you for a second,
yeah,
and then, we're all kind of going through the same thing, so it's like it just is like affirming to be like, okay, I'm not alone, you know,
yeah,
like most all of us artists are dealing with something industry related right now, or
yeah,
not industry related, but it's been a time collectively, so is really necessary to have community,
yeah.
and connect
I
with the
agree.
community.
I agree. Yeah, it's like there's, it's what scares me about leaving, just because like it's, what I have here and what I kind of rely on, but sometimes I don't even, and I forget that I even have it,
Hmm.
like I forget that you're my friend. I haven't talked to you in a decade, and it's just like, man, like I had to start a podcast to like have these conversations, it's just, and I'm glad that I did, because who knows when we would have talked otherwise. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like it's just very it's very cool to be able to have these conversations and to kind of like revisit like friendships first and foremost, but also like the the efforts that people are making to try to navigate their way through this insane fucking time and space and everything that's going on, because it's wacky and there's no formula for it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just like, how are you choosing to do it? Because ultimately somebody else is going through it as well, and they probably need help. And if this can serve as any kind of like contribution to like facilitating, oh, you're right, I'm not alone in feeling this way, then
100%.
that then the goal has been met. um and I'm just like super proud of you. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know if like, yeah, like I feel like really um I feel really good that you are doing what you're doing, and like like figuring out your lane the way that you are.
Mm.
I think anybody that listens or that knows you, or that's met you, will like attest to you already having like exceeded every and all expectation that anybody could ever have of you in life. Like you've done it all. Like you've literally done all the things. You won't think that, but like from the outsider's perspective, like you've lived 15
There
lives
have-
within like a time period of your life, and it's it's exceptional and it's really really fantastic. But the fact that like and what I'll draw back on is like your whole comment of just like, I'm trying to live like a really full big life now. It's just like, oh man, like, because that was a full big life when it was serving you in that way. But like what people need to understand is that that's not the only full whole life that you can have.
yeah.
And that like your like self-love, self-care, your like joy for just like getting up, listening to Beyonce and twerking like in the corner of your room for absolutely nothing,
Yeah.
sometimes is like the spark of joy that actually like cultivates a whole sense of self over like a call from your agents. It's just like, you won, you booked the next job. It's just like, that's the thing that you need to be
And
focusing on and putting your concentration towards.
as you said, I'm just in a space. I mean, I have been for a while, but I'm tired of waiting around. So
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm not going to be waiting around anymore. Like, not at this grown age. Nope.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, is
Well, you're crushing it, Daisha. I'm really proud to know you. I'm honored that you got to come on and chat with me for a second. I'm sad that it's been so long, but I'll try my best to stay in touch and keep you posted on stuff. And look, I'm trying to make films nowadays, so maybe we make some movies together.
listen, cast me, okay? Cast.
I got you, girl. I got you. I don't know, like this is all I'm trying to do with my life. I'm just trying to like make movies and bring friends into them, and like and work, like do cool shit with cool people.
Exactly.
That's it. That's all I want to do.
Exactly.
And I want to try my best to not like get so down on myself in the process of like not being able to do it in the moment.
Yeah, no, it
But just
sounds like
trying to work towards it
you're doing everything you want to be doing, and I know
as
again
best as I can.
it feels crazy, but you literally are. Like I'm talking to you on a podcast. Like you started a podcast. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty easy
Pretty
once you
cool.
get started.
Yeah.
Cool, Daisha. I know you got to go and tape some stuff for yourself because you're about to start booking some new work.
This one is
And if you don't, who cares? Because you can fucking turn on Beyonce again and do whatever you want to do.
Period.
Very proud of you. Love ya, miss ya, and if I'm in LA, I'll holler for sure because I would love to grab a coffee and an ice cream cone with you.
Absolutely. I think I'm coming to New York with Santigold. I think we're in the summer sometime. So.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Can we try our best to stay in touch with each other?
Yeah.
Promise?
Absolutely promise.
All right, Daisha. Great to see you. Proud of you. Thanks for being on the pod.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
How good was that? Huh? And now gauge this. Remember that? That was great, right? Daisha. What a ledge. She's so wonderful. I really, really liked that talk. Man, she really has a very admirable point of view on all of this, and I really love that girl a lot. She's a really cool person, and I'm so happy to be able to reconnect with her. Guys, stick around for a little jiffy here. We got to clear up some biz, all right? Some real biz. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say, hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. Give us a share. Give us a shout out. Give us a follow on all of the places that you listen to this podcast. If you haven't checked out the Patreon page, we now have that up and running. It is at patreon.com/the Precipice of Delusion. If you feel so compelled to throw a couple chips my way to help me continue to make this podcast, make it better, grow it out, put some production value into it, maybe even get a studio where I can host guests in person. You know, it all costs money. And so I'm doing a Patreon page to put the effort in to see if people want to help contribute to doing that. If you don't want to and you don't have the means, not a problem at all. You listening is everything. So just keep tuning in and keep spreading the good word. I love you guys very much for being here. Thank you for tuning in every single week. We are doing Mondays and Thursdays for maybe a couple more weeks, and then I'll just drop it back to Monday. But I'm having a great time, guys. Thank you so much for being here. This is very fun and very gratifying. I feel very privileged to be able to be at this place in my life and speaking to you and letting you listen. So hit me up, send me a message, say hi, send a review, whatever you want to do, just engage. And I promise to do my best to do it right back. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Now that's what I'm talking about.